Hey guys, this is Comic Uno and Comic Frontline. And today I'm doing Comic Uno episode 115. And this is a show where I review all the comics I read this week in one show. So we go worst pick of the week to best pick of the week. Also guys, a little update for next week is New York Comic Con. So I'm not sure when I'm going to have Comic Uno episode for next week, or if I'm going to have it. If I get to finish my comics early, I'll have the episode up, but if I feel like it's a little bit too late in the week, I don't know if I'm going to have it. But let me know in the comments below, do you want me to have Comic Uno episode, even if it's a little later in the week? Just let me know. So, I'm playing that by ear for that. So not promising anything. But let's start talking about this week's book. So, there's only 12 books this week. It's a pretty relatively short week. So, number 12. Number 12 is Inferno, issue 5. Wasn't totally impressed with this book. Honestly, I really enjoyed the first issue of Inferno. Thought it had a really good start, a good premise, and then it just started lacking. I just wasn't interested in the story after. It really concentrated more on Colossus, which I was surprised. I thought it would concentrate more on Magic, Ileana, and in the end she ends up dying. and I guess it's like kind of interesting that like Colossus, when he uses the sword, he's like, how did you know this could transport places? Like, oh, I just like heard someone say it. So it was like, oh, well, Ileana's still with him, the real Ileana. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But other than that, I wasn't really totally impressed with this book. So artwork's okay. I like the details in I guess the structure of the body. Some of the facial expressions could be a little bit better, like over here. But overall, the artwork's not too bad. But yeah, the story just didn't impress me by the end. So I'm going to give that 2.5 stars. Alright, moving on to number 11, which is 50th Anniversary Calvary issue 1. So the 2 Marvel books I got this week were on the bottom, surprisingly. So yeah, Calvary was just kind of felt forgettable. So this was about Agent May, just training these new S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, and, you know, her saving the day in a lot of ways, but also saying, oh, well, this team has chemistry. But honestly, you didn't really learn much about Agent May herself. Like, you get to see her personality you've seen on the show, but you never really learn additional information like you did with Mockingbird or even Quake, I felt. The artwork is also just kind of simple, you know, not generic, but just like kind of average artwork. So yeah, overall I just thought it was kind of forgettable, and I was disappointed because I was excited for this one to learn more about Agent May, but you didn't really get that here. So I feel like that's a skippable issue. Alright, moving on to number 10, which is Postal, issue 7. And I thought this was a pretty good book. I do think that the shading is a little off for the book. There's a lot of shading with the book. But I still really do like the characters. And here, it was definitely an interesting story. We get to see that our main character is helping this boxer who actually lost his arm, and he wants to win the fight, and he's against this person that literally can kill him. And so they trade by saying, alright, I'll help you if you help me with Maggie to, you know, be in a relationship with her. And he says that right in front of Maggie, so that was pretty funny, and, you know, pretty cool to his character. So we get to see that they're, you know, they have sparks, and they're trying to have a relationship, which is cool. And I hope that Maggie's not using him. That's kind of like the worry. Like, I'm excited to see where their relationship goes, though. But yeah, overall, I thought it was an interesting story, and I really like Postal. I think it's a really good book that more people should be talking about. I really love the main character. He's definitely someone, you know, something different. And something this whole story is something you really haven't seen before. So, Postal issue 7 definitely was a fun issue, and I'll give that 3.5 stars. Alright, so moving on to number 9, which is American Vampire, issue 10. So yeah, this was a bit lower this week. I was a little disappointed because I love American Vampire, but honestly, there was just a lot of good books this week. So it wasn't a bad issue at all. It's just a little bit of a slower issue, which is understandable for the arc it's telling. It's the Cold War, so there's a lot of paranoia in a lot of themes of this arc. It's paranoia, you know, trickery, spies. So a lot of the twists and turns have to do with, oh wait, we thought you were American. Oh no, you're actually Russian, which is really cool. And then, you know, the paranoia aspect of, like, you know, Skinner, he goes into spaces. His cord got cut, so he's going into the abyss, and he's really scared about it, obviously. So there's this paranoia of, like, going into the unknown, which is a lot about the about the Cold War, is going into the unknown and having that paranoia because of it, not knowing what would happen next, with all the new technology being built. So that was a really good aspect. But yeah, I mean, my favorite part being Pearl. She's not really she's in the issue, but she doesn't have that much to do. I did like her monologue a lot, though, about the void and, you know, how scared she was when she first became a vampire. But when she looked that monster in the face, she was even more scared. So the missions are, I guess, the lacking part of this issue, but the character development and themes were really well done with this issue. So American Vampire Second Cycle gets 3.5 stars for me. That's number 9. Alright, moving on to number 8, which is Justice League, issue 44. So yeah, Justice League. It's a little lower. I think other people are going to have it higher on their list, but I'm not a huge Darkseid fan, and this is definitely more an action-packed issue, and the action's well done. It's really well done action, but it's a really quick read at the same time, and spoiler alert, in the end, you get to see... Very big spoiler alert. In the end, you get to see Darkseid dies, and that's like, oh my god, they killed off Darkseid. At the same time, I'm not a huge Darkseid fan, so it doesn't impact me as much. And again, because it's such an action-packed, this is war type issue, I didn't like it as much, but I still respect this issue, and I definitely can see why other people really enjoy it. So, Justice League issue 44 for me gets 3.5 stars. Alright, so I think we're up to number, I want to say 8, right? No, I'm gonna look it up. I think we're up to maybe 7, 8. We're up to 7 actually. All right, so number 7 is Zodiac Starforce issue 2. I'm having a blast with this book because I am a Sailor Moon fan. I'm not like a hardcore Sailor Moon fan, but I really like the series. And it's like the only magical girl anime series I've seen. But you could definitely see that they take a lot of ideas from the magical girl anime, but also Americanize it in a really cool way. So it's about the Zodiac Starforce people. They're all friends, and then you find out, you know, the enemy of the school, the high school, is actually their enemy in the Zodiac princess form also. So that's exciting. And then there's also this really cool mystery of our main Zodiac princess, who's like the Sailor Moon of the book. She touched something in the first issue, and now she's like breaking up, like literally. She has lines, and like her body's breaking. So now, one of the Zodiac princesses, her power is to open up portals, and it wasn't really working for her in this issue. But then she makes a giant portal in the city. So, you know, I enjoy the friendship with this issue. I like the twists and turns, are really well done. I love the artwork, especially the little cues. Like they have Sailor Moon, they have one of, I can't think of, there's another anime thing. I want to know it. It's like someone with a T. Anyways, there's like a little plush doll, and he looks like a rabbit. I can't think of his name right now. But, so they had him. You know, there's a lot of calls onto popular anime in the book. So I enjoyed that from the artwork. The artwork definitely fits the tone of the book. It's not too anime-ish, though, which I like. It's like kind of a mix of American artwork, but also a mix of Japanese artwork. And I really like that balance. So yeah, I thought this was a very solid book. Had a lot of great action. I like the characters. I can't say I'm in love with all the main characters, but hopefully as the series goes on, I'll care more for the main characters. But it definitely has a really good start so far. So if you like those type of animes, if you like anime in general, I think you should definitely pick this up. I think it's a very unique book. So I'm going to give that 4 stars. So moving on to number 6, which is Grimm Fairy Tales, issue 114. This is a digital book, so I don't have it with me, but this is a pretty solid book. We get to learn about a new character that might be joining the school who controls death. You learn a lot about her backstory of like how she became a runaway, how she was kind of not scared of her parents, but her parents were scared of her. I love the monologue that Pat Chan has about her dreaming to be a princess, you know, that type of magic. But this magic in this world is not the, you know, story magic that you learn when you're a kid. So really enjoyed that. The artwork's beautiful for this book as always, and love the chemistry between the students still. They're not really the focus, but you get to see, you know, our main character, Snow White, Selma, her daughter, you know, her connection to Wolf, and, you know, the connection to the other students, and then learning more about this Lancelot type character, which I forget his name too, but I want to say Lancelot type character, but he's from Oz, actually. So learning that he's not the enemy, but then who is the enemy? So there's some really good story progression from the school, but also you get an introduction into this new character. So I thought it was a very solid issue. Can't say I'm in love with the new character, but I really liked how Pat Chan introduced the new character. So I'm going to give that a solid 4 stars. Alright, so now we're moving on to our top 5. So number 5 is Batman Annual, issue 4. I thought this was a very solid issue, and I think it was worth the $4.99. So, yeah, with this issue, it's Bruce Wayne, so if you miss Bruce Wayne, really he has not been gone for too long. Scott Snyder still uses him a lot, but if you miss him in a full issue, you get him here, and you see where Wayne Manor has been, how Bruce is getting Wayne Manor back. Now, at the same time, Wayne Manor was Arkham Asylum for a while. So you see that the Riddler, Mr. Freeze, and Clayface were, you know, still in the house and attacked Bruce. And even though Bruce is this Bruce, you know, the Bruce that he's always, when he was Batman, always pretending to be. Now he's this real Bruce. And now he's only Bruce Wayne. It's not a show anymore. And he still has the stuff to be Batman, though. So, the way he accomplishes to defeat these villains was very Batman. So I enjoyed that. And I also like Bruce's girlfriend, too. I think is a really cool addition. Maybe Bruce can find love. Probably not. But it can be kind of cool if he tries to hold on to that relationship even when he becomes Batman. Again, because you know he's going to become Batman. But maybe he's learned a little bit. It's like, oh, man, I should open up. And, you know, that's what I learned from this journey. And it would be a different type of arc to tell for Bruce. So I hope I think that'd be cool. I like his girlfriend so far. I think she has a cool personality. And you see that in this issue. But yeah, this is a very solid issue. It progresses Bruce's story really well. It's a fun issue. So if you miss Bruce Wayne, I think you should pick it up. So Batman Annual issue 4 gets 4 stars. That's number 5. Moving on to number 3, which is the Grayson Annual issue 2. Grayson is top 5 again. If I like the next issue, I'm going to read that digitally, but if I like the next issue, I think I'm going to add Grayson to my pull list again. Because I loved last issue, it was my pick of the week, and now the Annual being in my top 5 still. But he's still in Gotham, so, you know, it might change when he becomes a spy again. What I love about this issue, though, it's a team-up between Superman and Dick. It's showing how similar they are as characters. You know, they were both the characters of Hope. And you see when they met when, you know, Superman was just starting out and when when Dick was Robin. And you see it's like, oh, you know, they became friends, you know, fist pumped each other, and then Batman's like, can't trust him. And Dick's like, why? He's just a guy, you know, he's just trying to help. And then you see that that's still true. You know, Dick Grayson, he's a super spy, he was all these things, but he's just really a guy. And, you know, Superman, he had all these powers, he's an alien, he's truly just a guy. And you really get to learn that through this issue. And what I love also is the artwork. I mean, I love the artwork for this series, and the way they make the difference of Dick's movements and fighting style with Superman's fighting style. Superman's very much like, oh, I can still fly, but he uses his powers to kind of have this flight movement through the book. And then Grayson obviously having his acrobatics, and they utilize it really well with this issue. So that's something I really enjoyed. But yeah, it's just a friendship with Superman and Dick Grayson was really well done here, and it was a wonderful team up. My complaint would have to be the villains. I didn't really care for them. They kind of felt like they were randomly attacking them. So I guess that would be the complaint of the issue. But overall, it's still a very solid issue, and I definitely recommend it. It was my favorite annual for the week. Alright, so let's move on to number 3, which is Morning Glories, issue 48. My favorite character is Casey in the book, because she is the main character. But, I mean, the different things you get to see with Morning Glories, So you learn that Casey, because you get to see a flashback of Casey, she cheated on her science project. So the person she's running against now, the presidency, went to school with her. She actually was like a spy back then. She went to school with her. Now they're going against each other to become president. And this whole issue is pretty much them having a debate with each other. And they ask questions like, oh, well, what do you think about the gym supplies? And Casey tries to keep changing subjects, say, I don't really care about the gym supplies. I care that the school killed my parents. And then you learn something about, the person she's running against. Let me try to get her name. Hopefully I get her name. You get to see, Isabel. Isabel say, yeah, they killed my parents too, but, I just have a different mind frame. I don't think I'm brainwashed. And she says that Casey's the villain of the story, which was really interesting. And she says she's a cheater. And in so many ways, Casey is. And in so many ways, Casey is the villain of the story, where you get to see Casey's the one who brought them all to the school. She doesn't know it, but she is. Also, I mean, Casey is a cheater, but then there is another side of the story that she never actually cheated herself. She never knowingly cheated. Just like she never knowingly knew she was the villain. Just like maybe there's a bigger theme of that is when, there is a bad guy. It's not so obvious. The bad guy doesn't know he's a bad guy. He thinks he's doing the right thing. So in a weird way, is Casey the bad guy? And it makes you question this whole thing. And of course, you're still rooting for Casey because she's your main character, even if she is the bad guy. But it just makes a really cool, different way that you're looking at Casey. So yeah, wonderful issue. I will say artwork's beautiful as always, especially this little beat here when, Isabel's just getting on Casey's nerves and has this anger problem and she throws a chair, so love the beats there. There's some over-exaggeration with the facial expressions in some parts though, so if I had a nitpick, that's something I probably would nitpick at, but love this artwork. Just love the story. It's solid 4 stars. You really get to learn a little bit more about Casey, and I can't wait for the 50th issue because I feel like we're going to get more answers there. So that's number 3. So now we're moving on to number 2, which is Revival, issue 33. I love this book. No secret. I do. And now, supposedly, this is supposed to be a jumping on point, and for the most part, I think it is. I do think they should explain the revivals, or revivers a bit more, so that was my little complaint about the book, but the issue overall, it's a spotlight on M, and you really truly learn who M is, and what it means to be a reviver. And also kind of the same theme as Morning Glories, but learning that, yeah, M's your main character for the most part. Dana is too, but M's definitely the catalyst of the book. And you want to root for her. At least for me, I'm like, we're concentrating on her because maybe she'll become a good guy. Maybe she's different from these other revivers. But with this issue, you truly learn she's not. Maybe we're concentrating on her because she does have different circumstances. She could become pregnant. We haven't seen that with a reviver, but especially, a dead person becoming pregnant. Who knew that could happen? So that's different. But I don't think she's a different person. And you really get into the nuts and crannies of what it means to be a reviver, which is kind of the first time you're getting that. What it means is that you keep kind of reliving the moment you died. And now M doesn't even know how she died. So, you have that confusion. She doesn't know how she died, and I'm glad they're bringing that mystery back, because I think it's been a really long time since we got the mystery of, like, how did M die, and now it's important again. So obviously everyone's going to be angry when they die, you don't want to die, so she's angry, and she doesn't forgive, and you're seeing that theme throughout. She keeps rubbing her bruise, that her sister gave. She keeps rubbing it, keeps irritating her. And, she keeps seeing this flashback of Dana hitting her. It's like, no, she can't forgive her sister now. Does she love her sister? Who knows after these events? And then even when the woman that hurt her in the first arc of her story, she punches her when she sees her because she can't forgive her. So the government agent, her kind of therapist here, the one who's writing all the notes, says, well, that's the difference with Martha. She's not going to be able to forgive. She's angry. And the artwork is so beautiful that you actually get to see that anger, that coldness, and her, like, sewing up her face. It's creepy, but, yeah, it's a really well done issue. If you want to learn more about M, it's so creepy. It's great. 4.5 stars. It's a wonderful issue. Just another great edition of Revival. Alright, so what was number 1? What was my pick of the week? And that is Archie, issue 3. This book is amazing. Let me just say that. And honestly, I was surprised. This is the first time it's been my pick of the week, but it's been in my top 5 and close to pick of the week every time it comes out. But the artwork is beautiful. I love how, you know, Fiona Staples modernized these characters. I mean, obviously Mark Waid does too, but with the fashion, in like showing the difference of Betty. You know, Betty wearing this kind of casual clothing, and then you have Veronica. It's wearing all this fancy clothes, and now with this issue we get to see that Veronica's having a bad day, you know, but still Archie is in love with Veronica, and, you know, everyone's either loving Veronica or hate her. You know, she's like this reality star in a way that's going to public school, so it's a big thing. So she ends up throwing up on her first day because of the horrible lunch food that she can't handle. So she cries in the bathroom, and she didn't realize that Betty's in the bathroom. So Betty gives her a paper towel in such a cool way that I want to show you what happened there. She kind of does it in this nonchalant way. You didn't know if she was going to help her, or if she was just like cleaning her own hands. But then Veronica's like, oh, why are you helping me? And she gives her this ugly dress. And Veronica laughs in her face like, nah, I'm just going to get my butler to get it for me. But thanks, you know, I think she calls her Bets. I was like, thanks though. So throughout the issue, Jughead's really, you know, worried about Archie because he's literally following her like a dog, and telling Betty, he's like, we gotta do something. He's like, well, it's kind of none of my business, you know? He's like, yeah, but he's still your friend. And he's like, no, lipstick incident. No, of course he's not my friend. I mean, yeah, of course he's my friend, but I can't get into it. I can't bother him. I just need some space. So we get to see that, and then by the end of the issue when that happens with Veronica, it's like, yep, she just made it my business. So I love Betty as a character. She's so cool. And what I like about this book too is that it definitely modernizes these characters, because the Veronica, Betty, Archie love triangle is so cliche. I mean, they kind of created the love triangle trope, but here, I'm actually really curious of, like, how are we gonna like Veronica? She's kind of, like, bitchy in this issue. How is Betty gonna become friends with Veronica? How is this love triangle gonna work, like, in a modern way? Will it work with Betty's personality of being, like, really chill? Will she want to be in a love triangle? So I'm really curious of how Mark Waid's gonna handle that. But yeah, this issue introduces Veronica in such a great way, and as someone that's become a big Betty fan, I think really highlights her personality very well. And someone that doesn't know much about the Archie world, learning more about Jughead is being like this really cool friend to Archie, even though he's kind of being a dope to Veronica and kind of being used. So yeah, love this issue. Great artwork, great story. Archie issue 3 gets 4.5 stars, and that's my pick of the week. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic You Know. This Comic Frontline also. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Don't forget to like my Facebook page. Also, description below, there's links for my comic book, Like Father Like Daughter. Don't forget to like the Facebook page of Like Father Like Daughter. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.